So, I was thinking to myself, as I was reading Jude verses 5, what would it take to get God to smite you? You know, lightning bolt from heaven, sort of, rah rah, I defy you, God, rah, something like out of, what's that Jim Carrey movie? Uh, what's it called? Something Almighty, Bruce Almighty. Yeah, talking with God, and get a good old smiting. Smite me, almighty smiter! What would it take for you to actually get God to smite you? Like, how evil do you have to be? The reason I was thinking about this, I was reading Jude verses 5, and it's all about smiting, which is awesome. And I got onto thinking, yeah, what would it take for you to get God to smite you personally? Like, walking down the street and just like bang, like lightning, that sort of thing. Now, the reason I got onto smiting is that it appears somewhat in verse 5. It says this, it says, "Now I desire to remind you, though you were fully informed, that the Lord, who once for all saved a people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed those who did not believe." Now, I thought to myself, okay, this sounds like a bit of a story from somewhere else, so I had to pour through a little bit. And it's back from the Old Testament, which is, those old school books that no one really thinks mean anything anymore. Back in Exodus 7 to 14, you have this epic thing where Moses is, flinging out plagues left, right, and center. Well, actually, God's flinging out plagues left, right, and center. And the Egyptians are all like, oh, heckity. All right, get these folks out of here. Oh, backstory, the Israelites are all prisoners, which is really, really not nice. So God springs them out via all these plagues, which is kind of cool. Make a really good movie. I mean, like, modern movie. I know they've made one with Charlton Heston and all that, but I mean like a modern one with all the cool, special effects and stuff. So anyway, they get sprung out of prison in Egypt, and it says afterwards he destroyed those who did not believe. Now, I did a bit of looking, and in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 19 and onwards, essentially, the Israelites get to the place where they're going to live, which is, modern day Israel, and they say, nah, stuff that, we're not going in. There's these blokes there, and they're pretty scary looking, and we're not going to go in. But God had told them to. He commanded them to and said, guys, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to give you giant machine guns and bazookas and stuff, and they won't stand a chance. But the Israelites said, nah, they're too big. We don't believe, and so they turned away. Now, because of that, God essentially destroyed them. He sent them into the desert until that entire generation of people died out. And so this is the reference that Jude is talking about here. And so, yeah, this story and the following stories in verses 6 and 7, they're also about smiting. So I got onto thinking about smiting. And to answer the question, pretty much, it actually doesn't take that much, because all they did was not believe, which is a bit scary. So I'm going to try and be a really good boy today so I don't get smited. Or smote, past tense, smote. I was smote, I will smite. Anyway, so new questions arise then. Is it, why did Jude use this reference in his text? I mean, if you look back in the last videos I've done trying to set down the foundation for Jude, he's essentially telling these people that there's some really nasty teachers have come into their little group of people and are spreading all this lies and turning Christianity into smut and all this, wicked stuff. And Jude's saying, this is what these people are like. And then he has this example, and I'm like, well, why this one? And I got to thinking about it, and then I realized, you know what, these Israelites, they believed God, then they disbelieved God, and then they were smited. So that got me thinking, what if Jude was trying to paint these people that are slipping into these congregations, these group of people, what if he was trying to colour them with this same story, saying that, these teachers, false teachers, who say they're Christians, that maybe they were believers, but now they've turned, and they're now disbelieving like these Israelites, and they're going to be destroyed. Now, whether that's a good old smiting, or a slow, methodical, starving out in the wilderness like the Israelites, well, we don't know. Jude doesn't tell us what happens to these people. Obviously, because he's talking in the present tense. He's not talking about the past, yeah. So that's Jude 5. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video for Jude verses 6. Cheerio.